Hi, let's talk about the cost of living as an Indian student in Europe. Number one, there are various countries in Europe, so of course you wouldn't be able to identify which country would cost you how much. But let me give you a quick brief of the cost idea about living in Germany as an Indian student, living in France as an Indian student, or living in other countries. Well, number one, if you're living in Germany, you have to open a foreign account, a German account, and deposit money in that. How much you can check the latest amount on the German website, but it's around 7 to 8 lakhs maybe. Number two, France. You don't have to open an account, you just have to show the money in your bank statement or your parents' bank statement. The money is 7340 euros as per today's, I don't know, exchange rate. In Indian currency, you can calculate it, and probably it's around 6 lakhs. So there are certain countries where you require a foreign bank account, block that account with Indian, the money that you need to deposit. But in France, you don't need to do that. Cost of living depends, because this is the money that a government would need in your bank account so that they could be sure that you can survive in that country. To give an example of living in Paris, as per the government, you need to have 615 euros in your bank account every month. So let's say if you're coming here for a 2-year program or a 1-year program, you need to show the money for at least 1 year. So technically, if you multiply 12 with 615, it's around 7,380 or probably 7,400 euros. Now in Indian currency, it's around 6 lakhs. I don't know what it is today, but it's usually around 6 to 6.5 lakhs. And this is what you need to have in your bank account. That's number one. Number two, cost of living, and that's for all the cities. So cost of living would probably vary from city to city. So if you're living in Delhi, cost would be different. If you're living in Mumbai, cost would be different. If you're living in Kochi, cost would be absolutely different. But as per the government, they can't have different packages or different rents or different kind of visa procedures for different cities. So they have a common standard procedure. So this is the money that you need to have. 6 lakhs for France. Now the average cost of a rent could obviously be found on the internet, but since we have studied abroad, lived and worked in Europe, so I could tell you that if you're living in the center of the city, it's going to cost you around 800 to 1,000 euros, or sometimes even more. If you're living in suburbs, probably 15 to 20 minutes from the city center, it's going to cost you around 400 to 600 euros for one person. And if you're sharing that flat, of course, you can split that rent by 2. If you are living in some other city, not just Paris, or probably not a city as vibrant or as cosmopolitan or as costly as or expensive as Paris, the rent would be considerably low, drastically different. For example, rent for me when I was a student here in Marseille, south of France, it was around 392 euros. I met students like last week, and the rent is still around 400 euros. That's nothing compared to Paris, where the rent is around 800 to 1,000 euros. Now, that's number one. Number two, because most of the students would not be living in cosmopolitan cities, they would be living in student cities, so rent is going to be around 400 to 600 euros. And you would be getting a student subsidy if you're a student in France, because the government subsidizes up to 40% of your rent. So let's say if you're paying 400 euros, you're going to save 160 euros as it would be reimbursed in your bank account every month. So 240 euros is technically what you pay for your accommodation. For food, it might cost you around 100 to 150 euros depending on what you eat, how you eat, whether you cook or not, or whether you eat outside every day. So if you're a vegetarian person like me and you're cooking every day, it's going to cost you around 100 bucks, 100 euros a month. So 240 plus 100 is around 340 euros in your accommodation and food. Travel is going to cost you around 40 euros more if you're living in a city not as expensive as Paris. Otherwise, it's going to be around 70 to 80 euros. So technically, you travel, you eat, and you live. Everything is included in 300 euros. Apart from 400 euros. Everything apart from that depends on you. Internet is usually free in most of the cities in Europe. Whether you watch every day, whether you depends whether you eat outside every day, whether you shop a lot, whether you drink, smoke, have fun with your friends, travel abroad. But the average cost would be anywhere around 500 and would not exceed that if you're living in a city not as expensive as London or Paris or Frankfurt, right? So 500 to 600 euros you can expect as your monthly rent. It may go up and down depending upon, of course, your personal expenses and your lifestyle. I would highly recommend you to share your room with your friends. That would help you save a lot of your accommodation cost. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.